Hi everyone, welcome to my studio. And what are we going to do tonight? Tonight we're going to make these marvelous reading pillows. These are so much fun. They're double-sided, completely reversible with a hidden zipper. So therefore you can put a book on either side, hit the beach with your favorite book, use the pillow to lay down and read magazines, put everything you like in it. If you have kids, these are great for a sleepover because they can put not only their books, but in the zipper compartment in the back of it, they can tuck their night clothes in there, or toothbrush and toothpaste. Okay, what you need for this, in the way is fabric, is you're going to need for the pillow front. This is the pillow front. You want a pattern fabric, or it could be any fabric of your choice. For the front and the back is about 5/8 of a yard. The pockets, you need 2 pockets, finished pockets, so you're going to need at least 1/3 of a yard of either a solid or a contrasting. And you can embroider it, you can applique it, you can piece it as a quilt, however you like, but you're going to need probably a total of about 1/3 of a yard. You're going to need a pocket lining, and I've chosen this for the pocket lining. Again, about 1/3 of a yard. You'll need a scrap for the handle, about 2.5 inches by 8 inches long. This one is going to be a finished pillow of 16 inches by 16 inches. You're going to need some batting, so you need about a yard of batting. You're going to need a 16-inch pillow form, and you're going to need at least a 16-inch zipper. Just a regular zipper will be fine, because remember, the pockets will be hiding the zipper in the back. This is the front, and if it's directional, be mindful of it. You're going to need to cut them in the same direction, especially the back, if you're using the same fabric. So I'm using a 16 by 16 inch pillow. You do not have to you don't have to do any quilting on it if you don't want to. You can just simply line the back of this with some Decor Bond to give that pillow a little bit of substance. It needs to have a little more than just plain fabric to support the weight of the book and everything else that the kids are put in the pockets. So I have used a piece of batting. Again, 16.5 inches by 16.5 inches. I've cut this to be, it's going to be finished at 16.5 inches square, but I think was 17.5 inches square because I'm going to quilt this. And you can quilt it however you like. You can quilt it by doing free motion. You can take a walking foot and do cross hatching if you like. Decorative stitches, any pattern that you like. You can quilt this as you like. And the first piece I'm going to start with is this pillow front, because everything is going to be based on its finished size. So I started preparing the pockets. The pockets are going to be at least as wide as your finished pillow. I would like the pocket to be a little higher, so I'm going to cut it 9.5 inches by 16.5 inches finished. Now, I've decided to embroider this, and you don't have to quilt it, but I'm going to. These are very old designs, and in the old days, embroidery designs were very dense, and it's like bulletproof. And I tried putting it through Density Works, but it still caused a little bit of puckering, and that's fine. That's why I'm going to stipple quilt it. So I'm not even going to finish cutting it out. I made it bigger than I need, at least 2 inches on either side bigger, so that after I'm done quilting this, it will be the width that I want, the size I can cut it later. And of course, you're going to need a lining. So again, about another 1/2 yard of lining fabric, and that's going to give you the self-binding at the top. So, okay, so the first thing I'm going to work on is the pillow front. Okay, so I'm going to make this about 1.5 inches apart, and it depends on the batting that you're using. And I'm just going to continue to mark this every 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to set up the machine with, I'm going to use black quilting thread. I'm just going to cross hatch the front. And I'll show you how that's done with the walking foot. Okay, I've prepared my quilt sandwich. I have my backing, my batting, and my top sprayed together. You do not absolutely have to have a backing on it. However, I like to have just a plain muslin backing because it just makes it easier. Put the pillow form inside the pillowcase so that it's just easier to get on and off. You don't have to have it because, you know, if you're trying to put the pillow form in here, this kind of sticks to the pillow, so just makes it go a little bit smoother. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and I have set my stitch length at 2.5, and I've set the tensions. I'm just using the ordinary walking foot, and I'm just going to try to, I usually do like every other one just to get it good and secured. What I like about a walking foot is that it's a regulated stitch. You don't have to have any special skills, you just have to sort of go straight. I'm not too concerned about starting and stopping, and I put a grid about 1.5 inches apart, and that's sort of appropriate for this design. You don't want the quilting to overwhelm or be so complex that, you know, it takes away from the pattern. I think this is just an adorable pattern. I will continue stitching off camera, and I'll be back when I'm finished with the cross hatching. All right, I've finished cross hatching it. It's nice and smooth on the back. Luckily, I am in possession of a 16.5 by 16.5 inch square ruler, so that it made it very easy to square this up. So from here on in, every other dimension that we use for the back and the pockets has to have this 16.5 inch width in order for everything to work correctly. You don't have. So here's one of my pockets. I stitched it out. And what I did was I made this about maybe 11 or 12 inches long, you know, just to fit in my hoop. I'm going to rough cut this out a little bit wider than this because this is puckered. If it weren't, then I could put Deco Bond on the back and be done with it. I'm going to rough cut it, and it's longer than what I need. I sort of centered the design in the center of the space, and it's about 11 inches wide. The fabric is. So I cut the pockets 11.5, and I usually go about 18. So I'm going to cut some of this off, and then I'm going to stipple quilt this together. The quilt sandwich doesn't have to have a backing on it. Why? Because the pocket's going to have a lining anyway. I'm going to take some quilt batting, and I'm just going to spray it, and then I'm going to go to my quilting machine, and I'm just going to stipple quilt it. I have the scrim side towards the back, and that's because this is fuzzier, and therefore this is so clingy that I don't have to use any type of spray or pins. Okay, here's the front that I did for the other pillow that I'm working on. This one is a very, very one-way design. It also has some very distinctive features that I wanted to retain. So what I did is I know that I'm going to be stitching 1/4 inch stitches. So there are generous 1/4 inch stitches. So I wanted this sort of centered in the top. And yes, this is not the pocket for it, but this is what you would see. So I wanted this row featured pretty prominently. So what I did was I just simply found the outline in the pattern, and I just quilted over the lines, as you can see by the back. Okay. Now I have put my quilt sandwich together. I've threaded my machine and tested the stitch. This is the most puckered. I'm going to start here, and I'm just going to outline it. And I'm just going to slowly go around. Just go a nice even pace all around the edges of the embroidery. Take it on. And see how much of the puckering's already come out, and this is all I've done so far is outline. There, that's where I started. So I'm going to, this is the next center section. I'm just going to do some stippling in between till I get to the next place, which is going to be this letter, the word R, and I'm going to go around the R. I'm going to stipple between the words, but I'm just going to treat each word as a big rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and finish this off camera, and then I will be back. Okay, here it is after it's been finished stippled. Look at that. That couldn't be any more wonderful. It's nice and flat, and I've just squared it up to make sure it was the same size as the pillow front. Now we're ready to assemble the pocket. So I have cut two rectangles, 16.5 inches wide. Measure that, and actually, you know, before I even did that, I just sort of auditioned it just to see what it would look like, how big of a pocket, and I decided that I want it to be 9 inches high. This I determined would be a nice size, would be 9 inches, and then I'm going to make this one, which is the lining for this pocket, 10 inches. So I cut this, actually, yeah, I cut it 10 inches. Mostly because we're going to put about a 1/2 inch seam here, and then this is going to wrap. So this is actually going to create its own binding, so like a self-binding. So that's ready to sew together. Okay, here's the pockets. They're done, and they look really nice. They look so much better, no more puckering. And I think that looks really nice. I like the variegated thread and a thicker thread. It gives the pockets a little bit of texture, especially since the front is kind of plain. So now we need to determine the pockets. Okay, I'm going to take my measuring tape. I want my pocket to come a little bit below this word Quidditch. So I'm going to measure that. Okay, so that's 9 1/4. So the pocket is going to be cut back to 9 1/4 by 16.5 because this has not changed. Okay. The liner for each pocket, and these are both pockets. Liner. I want to add at least 1 inch because that I'll show you the pocket liner is going to also be like a built-in binding. So I'm going to make it 10 1/4, and I'm going to add an extra 1/4 inch. So I'm going to make that 10 1/2 inches wide by 16 1/2. Okay, now we need to determine how we're going to do the back. So the first thing we're going to do is that we know that pocket is going to be 9 1/4 inches from the bottom. Okay, that means we got about another 1/2 inch of bulk here. Then we're going to have the zipper, so we're going to set that lower pocket seam to be, the lower pocket's going to be about 7.5 inches high. So by the time we add the seam for the binding, I'll add 1 inch to that just to be safe. So I have 7.5, so I'm going to make this 8.5 by 16 1/2. That is the bottom back. The top back, okay, this is going to be the same spot right here. So we want that zipper coil in the center here. So we want the top to be at least 8.5 inches. So I'm going to add 9.5, maybe 9 3/4. So 9 3/4 by 16 1/2. And that's going to put that zipper coil right about here. 9, yeah, about right there. Okay, that'll be well out of the way of all the bulk, because we're going to have a lot of bulk on the sides here, because you're going to have 2 pockets. The binding, you know, the little bit of binding, that faux binding, And we're also going to have the backing as well as the batting too. So we want to reduce as much bulk as we can from the sides. Okay, so I have, this is just a trusty Elmer's washable, actually this one is Acorn Precision Piecing, but you can use Elmer's washable school glue. And I just want to, within a seam allowance, and remember it's going to be about a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so you don't have to be too picky. Put this right sides together. Put this way. Put one on top of the other. And heat set it into place. Just a couple of seconds in each area. And it's going to heat set into place. Let it dry. Then you're going to take it to the sewing machine and you're going to sew about a 1/2 inch seam there, and that will be fine. Okay, so I sewed 1/2 inch along this edge. Going to open this up and just finger press it for a moment. Okay, I want to press this up. Okay, then I'm going to turn this over and I want to just pull this nice and taut, right like that. And I'm going to pin it down here. And see it, make sure it covers the whole way. Give it a little press. Then we're going to take it to the machine with the walking foot, and I'm going to sew about 1/8 of an inch. Here you have a choice. You could simply just stitch in the ditch right here, and you want your bobbin, at least your bobbin, to match the green, or you could like I did on the other one, just mark it on either side. This one I think I'm going to just stitch in the ditch. I'd like a little bit more simpler of a line, so I'm just coming over to my machine and stitch in the ditch using the walking foot. Going really close. Take the pins out before you come to them. So this makes like a self-binding. Don't need to do any more than that. That's fine. Okay, I'm just going to come to the ends and I'm just going to baste stitch all of these flat. And see, an extra 1.25 inches was just enough. Okay, and I'm going to stitch very close to the edge. I'm going to take a little bit longer stitch length. So that looks very nice. See how neat it looks at the top? And it looks nice on the back. Very nice. Okay, I'm going to repeat that for the other pocket. Now you have to decide which one of these 2 pockets do you want on the front and which one do you want on the back. See, now this one I do have to trim. I'll just do it with the scissors. I'm going to trim this away. I'm going to pin this in place. Okay, now that we've finished the pocket, everything's good and go. The lining looks good. So now I'm just going to line up the bottom and the sides between the pocket and the front and just pin it into place. Put as many or as few pins as you need. You want to double check, fold it in half and double check that these pocket edges are meeting in the exact same spot. And they are not, so I am going to move one up a little bit. I want them to be symmetrical. Okay, now I'm going to just baste it with the walking foot on the two sides and the bottom. And I'm going to use, I changed to black regular thread, but any color will do at this point. It's just basting. Okay. I'm going to set this aside while I build the top handle. You need about a 2.5 inch wide by about 8 to 9 inches. I started with 8, but you can cut it back or even make it bigger if you like. And then a 3/4 inch wide piece of just batting. So I want this to finish at the edge. Okay, so I'm just going to eyeball that and just set this in place. Use my Elmer's glue, or let me get this side. This glue must be getting older. Fold it over. If you like, you can heat set this into place. And that way it won't move. See, I folded this over, and now I'm going to fold this up, heat set it into place. And see, I'm also can use my Elmer's washable school glue. It will work just as well. In fact, it's a little easier for me to use. And just put the glue on this end. Fold this folded edge so that that little 1/4 inch hem that I made is right at the edge. Okay, heat set it into place. Okay, and now I'm going to sew it 1/8 inch on the inside on both sides. All right, I'm just going to sew this in black. You can use the edge of the foot. No, I can't. I don't want to. Alrighty, you just pick a spot. Make sure it goes to the same distance on both sides. And this side. I'm finding the center top of the bag. And mark it with a pin. I'm going to measure 2 inches on either side of that mark and make another mark. It's hard to see that because it's right on the black. And 2 inches on this side of that mark, center. Okay. I'm going to take my handle. Let's see, do I like that spacing? No, I think I like, yeah, that's fine. Oh, now I'm going to put it in the middle. And I'm just going to pin it for now. And you want to make sure they're going the same way. So if this edge is on the inside, keep it on the inside. Center it on that 2 inch mark. Pin it in place. And then baste it on the machine. This you might want to, this is going to be a stress point. So this is probably, you're going to want to go back and forth a couple times. just to reinforce it. Same thing here. There. Now that handle's good and secure. Okay, we're going to set this aside, and now we're going to do the back of the pillow. Okay, I have my back. There's the top, which is the longer one, and the shorter one is on the bottom. I want them going the same way at least, and then you need a zipper. Whatever size zipper you have close, I'm using an 18-inch zipper. And so we're going to first I'm just going to put one side on the other. I want to make sure that there is like this little metal piece right here. That little teeny metal piece needs to be nowhere near that seam line. That seam line is over here. I want to move it somewhere else. It can be either inside like this so that it's not being caught. You can do that and have the excess over here. I think that's how I'll do it. Okay, so I'm going to place the glue. I'm going to use my favorite here, my Elmer's washable school glue. I'm just going to put it along the edge. You can use basting tape, like double-sided seam tape. Okay, I'm going to put this right here. Put it right even with it. And heat set it into place. And don't put the iron directly on the coils because the coils are made of nylon and you don't want to melt the coils. You can also do it from this side too. Doesn't matter. I'm just matching the edge up. Now this is going to be an exposed zipper. However, it doesn't really matter because this is going to be a concealed zipper. No one's going to see this from the other side because it's going to be behind the pocket. I like this way better. Turn that back. If you want to secure it a little better, just turn it on the other side, on the fabric side, so more heat can get through. And just touch the edge of the iron. Okay. I'm going to switch my machine to a zipper foot. All right, switch to my zipper foot. I'm just using a plain, ordinary zipper foot. You could also put your zipper on by serger or any method that you prefer for sewing your zipper on. I'm going to sew back tack, and I'm just keeping the right edge of this foot just even with the end. And this is actually, I'm stitching right up to the teeth. Now I want this to be a smaller stitch length. I've made sure that that metal end is inside the seam lines. Okay, there we go. That looks good. Now we're going to do the same thing with the top part of the zipper. So just make sure you don't flip one like that. Would be easy to do. Okay. See, and then you're going to put this right sides together, and once again, I like to work from this side. And I'm going to put the glue on the edge. I'll match this side. Give it a light press here, and I'll turn it over and do it again from the other side. This just tacks it in place. What I like about this is there are no pin marks. There's no distortion due to the pins or basting or It's easy to match up. Like I said, this is the easiest zipper to put in, is an exposed zipper. Okay. And then I'm going to sew this. You can sew it from either the right side or the wrong side. It really does not matter. Okay, I can leave that exposed that way, or what I can do instead of having it meet on the end is have it meet in the center. So I'm going to finger press one into the middle, like that. So I'm just finger pressing it into the center. This will make it a double lapped zipper. I'm not worried about these two sides matching because remember, this is going to be concealed. I am sort of concerned that it goes that way just because that's the old seamstress in me. It doesn't really matter. The only part that's going to show above the pocket will be the top part. I reduce the temperature of my iron, and now what I want to do is just press these just so that they will stay. Okay. All right, now I'm ready to put the backing and the batting into the back of the pillow. So I've got my lining fabric, which is this super flimsy, like a muslin type, but it's almost like a cheesecloth, but it doesn't really matter. I just am using this simply because I don't like the batting to be against the pillow form. It makes it hard to put the pillow form in and out. So I've got this lined up at the top edge here. I'm going to flip it over. Here's my pillow, and it doesn't matter whether you start with this top or the bottom, does not matter. I'm going to put this right up to the seam edge here, or right where the zipper is, and just pin it just for a second. Keep those pins facing downwards so you can get them out. You don't want to sew over them. And again, I'm going to put this here and just secure it because it does want to slip on you. And then this end. Okay. And then fold this down. Smooth it from the zipper. Smooth it out. There we go. Put a few pins here. And I'm going, where's that pin? I want to dig it out. Don't want to leave it there. Pin through all the layers. Take this one out. Pin it down. And there's one pin in between. And there's one more little pin. There you go. And you can also put a few pins on the end just to hold the edges down, because we're going to end up quilting this after we've sewn the zipper part on. I'm not going to use the zipper foot this time. I'm going to use the walking foot. And there we go. And I'm going to just put this about 1/4 of an inch away. I'm just using this edge of my walking foot. This is going to sew down the lap part of the zipper. Okay, and now I'm just going to sew on either side of this lap. I'm going to test my zipper. Where is it? Over here. Yep, it works. Okay, we're going to repeat for the other side. And see, it caught through on the other side well. All right, now this is ready to quilt. I am going to simply, very simply quilt this. I'm just going to go across, up and down, just follow that and go down here. And that's all there is to it. Actually, I'm just going to start here. I'm going to sew these closed. Now this open end of the zipper, I'm going to pinch it closed as I approach the basting spot. And I'm going to just baste it together, back tack it a little. And I've sewn up that side already. Okay, both sides are done. Everything is working. That is a good thing. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to trim this, but before I do that, I'm going to take the front. I'm just going to set it off to the side. I'm going to position the pocket before I trim it, because I have a little bit of wiggle room here. I want this part right here to be, see the edge of the zipper? I want that right there. And I'm going to pin it into place. Just for now. I'm going to take these pins out in a minute. Okay, I'm going to come on this side. Again, here is the edge of the zipper, and I want to match up this part right here. Okay. And pin that into place. Okay. All right, and then I can just lay this on top just to make sure that everything is going to match up those corners right here. And yep, that works right there. That's perfect. Okay, so now what I can do while I have this here is I am going to mark with chalk the placement of this pocket. I'm also checking these sides, so I think it's still 16.5 inches. I'm going to match this edge to this edge, and it is fine here. I'm going to leave that there, mark where that goes. Okay. Now I'm going to take it to the cutting room, and I am going to make sure that these ends are right. And I'm going to make it 16 inches. See here, this is the bottom of the 16 inches. We're good to go. I didn't check to make sure. Let me just always double check. I'd rather just double check than to, okay, everything is even on that side. And it's good on this side. So I will be back. I'm going to trim this to 16-inch square. Okay, and now I'm going to base the sides and the bottom together using the walking foot. Okay, now they're ready to just simply open my zipper and put them together. So I'm going to open that zipper so I can get to it. But first, what I think I'm going to do is take this to my serger and just finish the raw edges on the inside. It's not necessary that you do that. I didn't do it on the other one, but this one I think I will. So I will be back after I do that. All right, it's ready to put together. So I've serged the edges. I'm going to partially open this zipper so that I can get to it. I'm going to put these right sides together. First thing I want to do is match up the pockets. Those pockets must be just right. I'm going to mark above and another one just below. Same thing on the other side. Put a few pins if you like, as many as you are comfortable with. And then we are going to sew a generous 1/4 of an inch. It's probably more like 3/8 of an inch. Instead of it being 16 inches square, it's going to be 15 3/4, but that's fine. I like my pillow forms to fit inside of the pillowcase nice and snug. I've changed to a light colored thread, and I'm going to stitch right on the edge here, and this is going to give me a 3/8 inch seam. I've got a 2.5 stitch length, and over here where the pillow meets the pocket, I'm going to double back tack it there. There we go. Okay, now before I turn this, I do not like my pillows to have fox ear corners. It looks terrible. So I am going to take a ruler right here at the corner. Here's my stitching line. Here, that's where I have stitched. Okay, if you can see that in red. I want to come out another 1/4 of an inch, make a dot. Take a this will take about 3 inches away. Starts here and draw a line. Same thing on this side. Here's my stitching. Go a 1/4 of an inch in and 3 inches away. Ease it back to the original stitching line. Whoops, right here. Okay. This is going to give it a slightly rounded corner. So I'm going to start stitching about here, so right on that line. Make sure you back tack through it. Start over here, go over there, and then I'm going to stitch another line about 1/8 of an inch away inside. So my stitching will be here, here, and here on each corner. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll do that for one corner on screen. I'll do the rest off camera. I start here about 1/2 an inch above. The same line, back tack, go right, stitch right on the line. Come off here, the end, want to back tack there and cut. I come this way, start off into the seam, back tack through there. And then I'm going to stitch across diagonal about a 45-degree, about 1/16 inch away from that corner. Stitch it really good, because to be honest with you, you are going to trim right here. I'm not going to trim all of this away because for one thing, the corners are always kind of flimsy on a pillow. There's not enough batting. This just adds a little bit of bulk. And I'm going to trim this almost right on that line. That's going to help make it turn it. Don't cut this stitching. Okay, it's double reinforced. I have back tacked here, and I've gone twice through there. So that corner is very secure. So it's ready. It's not necessary to trim this extra. Okay, I'm going to do the other 3 corners off camera. Okay, the top part, we're ready to turn it. Just have a point turner. Now on the other side, we are going to not, I know you want to take this and turn it the other way like that. You want to reach inside the pocket, on the outsides of the pockets, and turn it there. And then the zipper is inside the pocket, completely concealed. So we'll put the pillow form inside of it, and you will never know that it can be opened and cleaned. You can be opened up to clean. If a kid is taking this to a sleepover, they can actually put their things inside here. They can open this up and put it in between, in the pocket between, because it's nice and, you know, it's finished. They're not going to tear anything up. It's nice and finished on the inside, and they have a secret compartment as well as a really nice pillow. Okay, let's go get the pillow form and insert it, and then we'll have our finished pillow. Okay, now we've got our pillow form. We're going to put it inside this pillow. And so let's go ahead and unzip it. Squish up the pillow and just put it inside. Start with the bottom. It's usually the easiest. Push the corners in, push the corners of the pillow into the corners of the pillowcase. Same thing here on this side. Okay, and zip it up. Give it a good pat down. There we go. Looks great. Love it. And it's ready to take to the library and pick up some books, or just pull out your storybook and read a nice story. This is what it looks like without the pillow form. It could also be used as a tote bag so that you can take it to the library and you can open up the pocket, put in whatever you like. If it's you can put in clothes in there, whatever to stuff the pillow. But it makes a nice tote bag as well, so it's dual purpose, and it's dual-sided, so that's the nice thing about this. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and hit the notification bell. And if you have any questions or comments, send me an email at waltzquilt@yahoo.com, and I'll get right back to you. See you next week. Bye.